I would like to give the floor to a colleague that is joining us virtually, Chen Zak Kane, who's the head of the project of the Middle East WMD Free Zone. She will be discussing the project's timeline and the documents depository that Robin also mentioned in his introduction. So, Chen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry for not being able to join you in person today, but given events in the Middle East, I just want to convey our partner as well as people that we know in the region that we hope that all hostilities will end as soon as possible. With that, let me move to the online tools. For the Middle East Weapon of Mass Destruction Free Zone proposal, on which discussion first started in the 1950s and continue until today, it is really crucial to document all the different processes, initiatives, statements, and working papers, resolution and reports that exist because many of them have not been recorded. And the first online tool that I will share with you is the Middle East Weapon of Mass Destruction Documents Depository, which we launched in October 2020 with the funding by the EU. It acts as a resource hub that collects and organizes the main documents related to the evolution of the zone. And it's really valuable resources both for researchers that looking for the history of the zone, academics, or are wish to teach on the topic, especially in the region, as well as practitioners that support the current as well as future processes aimed at arms control, disarmament, and regional security in the Middle East. I will start with the document depository, the one to the left. I will share. This is our website, our new design. As with every other tool that will be mentioned today, you can reach it from the tools. And we will start with the document depository. Right now, there are over 510 documents. You can enter to it by exploring the depository. And then what can be done in the depository is really looking at it both as a list as well as a thumbnail. So you can see it here. We can sort the different documents by date, starting really from the beginning of the idea of the zone in 1958, with the processes going forward. So if, for example, up to the 2023 right now in the processes that are taken now, either if it's documents that were showing up in the NPT PrepCom, as well as the November conference that are coming up in a month from now on the nuclear and weapon of mass destruction free zone in the Middle East that will take place in New York. You can also sort by originating or either as a states, and you have all the countries that made statements, mainly regional countries, but also others, as well as originating forum, either if it's the Arms Control Regional Security Working Group of the 1990s or the GCC, the Gulf Cooperating Council, the Non-Alignment Movements, etc. You can also sort it out by a language, and we have 5 languages of different documents that were uploaded, and as well as type of document. So you can see whether it was a decision, a letter by a member country from the region, working paper, non-paper, studies, etc. So you can view really it in a useful way. And the important thing is that it is an important that we continue to update. So you can see actually, if I would have sorted by year, you would have seen more from 2023. So it is a living tool that we continue to upload documents to. And the other important thing that Robin has mentioned is that there are documents that have never been published before, either from individual or private collections, as well as from different events that happened that we acquired and got the approval to publish. Most of them are coming or from the Arms Control and Regional Security Working Group from the 1990s. So I can show you just an example of those. You can see those chairmen as well as draft statements. Practically, this is the main statement that ever countries in the region got as close as possible to agree on arms control measures. Or the other process that have never been documented before is the Lyon-Geneva informal consultation. So we got also documents from there, and you can scroll through them and read the different position of different countries that participated in the negotiations. So with that, I will turn to the other tools that I'm presenting today, which is the Middle East timeline. So this is a timeline, and the objective of the timeline is really to create a baseline of knowledge and provide information over 60 years of the key diplomatic milestone of the Middle East weapon of mass destruction free zone. It includes over 150 milestones of the zone, events, resolution, meetings. And when we started compiling all those milestones, we really did not thought it would be such a huge undertaking. And the main issue was really, when we thought about the process, is which events to include and which events not to include. And as anyone that experienced Middle East politics, you will have at least one, if not three ideas of what is important, what is not important in the history of the zone. So we did engage with the process of deciding what are the criteria to include documents and events with current as well as former officials from the region and from the NPT depository state, as well as experts on the topic who review and vetted the event that we included, as well as the criteria. And we had really three criteria, what is included and why. So the first one is that milestone document is one that has affected the course of the zone process, generated new information on the topic, or signified a change in position. The second criteria was that the milestone or document originated from the state that will make up the Middle East weapon of mass destruction free zone, or the document, the NPT depository or international organization and forum that have been named in any of the resolutions pertaining to the zone. And the third criteria was availability of the document to substantiate the event. So with that, we are getting into the timeline. You can go as far as the 1950s when we have the first event related to that. In the 1960s, we still have only one event. And then moving to the 1970s, when the zone idea a little bit got more traction, especially because it introduced into international forum, you can see many more events. Moving to the for example, 1990s, we have many more events, and you can scroll for them through here or from the bottom. Another important feature that we added is the mini timeline, because some of the key events of the zone were part of processes that were spanning over several years. So we thought it would make sense to collect this and have user explore them together. So for example, if I'm bringing us back to the 1990s, there are one of these processes is the Arms Control and Regional Security Working Group, what we call ACRES in the 1990s. This is the mini timeline. Let's cover more, and then you can scroll within the different events that happened and the documents that took place during ACRES. You might be able also to see words that are underlined. I will give you an example here. So for example, this one, if you open that, it will open the statements. So for example, this is an intersessional meeting. It will give you the documents that described in the text itself, and this is actually connected to the document depository that I presented earlier. So both there are synergies between the two tools. Sometimes also else that you will notice is that there are also explore more options. So we'll get to back to the 80s, for example. Here you can, under the discover more, for example, you will have explore content, and this is another explanation of the specific events that are described here. We felt that additional information as well as document that we think will help better understand the event that we describe here. The time will also have the search function. For example, if I put Syria here, you will see all the documents that pertain to Syria. If you decide to just want to see the entire timelines, you just can erase, delete anything from the search, and then you will have the entire timeline as a list. The last important part that I want to emphasize is because we want to make the issue of the zone more accessible to everyone in the region, we have it also in the 3 languages of the region. So we have it in Arabic, Hebrew, and Persian. So with that, just another feature that I want to mention is if you click on through the years, you get back to the timeline, and you can get to the beginning where you can scroll through the decades. Every decade has its own color codes. It just makes it easier to see where you are within the long history of the zone. So with that, I will finish here and we'll bring it back to the room. Thank you.